Hello, hello. How are you doing today? Happy Tuesday. Happy November. Happy almost end of 2019. It's an exciting time, to be sure. I'm Abby Levine. If you don't know me, I am founder of Millionaire Mindset Mastery. I am creator of the Wealth Alchemy Formula. And this year alone, my clients have made so far, hi Pam, $84 million. They will definitely clear $100 million by the end of 2019, which is awesome. And one of the things that people are always surprised that I begin by talking about is trauma. When people come to work with me, they think I'm just going to talk about money. Money, money, money. This is what you do. This is how you make more money. These are the actions that you need to take in order to get in alignment with the wealth vibration. And then I absolutely do that. Good morning, Miss Maria. Hi. I absolutely teach that for sure. But it always begins with teaching about trauma. Now, today I just wanted to give you a little bit of kind of a backstory about trauma. And there's two different kinds of trauma. There's trauma with a capital T and there's trauma with a little t. Now, what is the difference? Well, trauma with a capital T is any huge trauma that you had that you can literally point to and go, no wonder I messed up. This happened to me, right? So it would be abuse, abandonment, neglect. It would be, all the different kinds of abuse, emotional, psychological, physical abuse, all of the different kinds, sexual abuse, maybe big accidents that happened in your family, the death of loved ones at a young age, natural disasters that you were involved in, etc., etc., etc. So trauma with a capital T is everything that you can literally point a finger at and go, this is why I am afraid or anxious or depressed, right? And then there's trauma with a little t. Now, trauma with a little t is actually the cause of our mental health issue that we have on the planet today, because trauma with a little t is so quiet and so tiny that it's completely overlooked by most people. So trauma with a little t would be things like not being validated for who you were on a consistent basis. So maybe someone said to you one time, get your head out of the clouds, right? And all of a sudden you were being invalidated for being a dreamer. Or perhaps it just wasn't that you were ever acknowledged for your accomplishments, or maybe your accomplishments were always overshadowed by someone else, either an older, younger sibling. Perhaps it was that your parents didn't deal with their trauma, and so they tried to relive their lives through you. Even though they were present and you had everything that you could have possibly needed, somehow you were disallowed to be yourself. So that's basically trauma with a small t. And the reason that it's so detrimental is because when you look back at your childhood, your mind has already erased most of the things that were trauma with a little t. And so you look back and you think, my parents were always there. My dad always played with me. My mom was at every game. I never wanted for anything. I always had food on my table, things like that. And so you think this insidious thought that if I could just remove it from the English language, that would be my mission complete. I should be grateful. I should be grateful. I wasn't wanting for anything. I should be grateful. My parents were always there. I should be grateful. I had both parents around me. I should be grateful, right? And it causes this lack of validation of the trauma that actually occurred to you, because we remove any reasons, unconsciously remove any reasons why we should have any issues whatsoever. So anyway, so that's the difference between trauma with a big T and trauma with a small t. However, just because you don't notice trauma with a small t in your past doesn't mean it doesn't affect you. Both the traumas affect you in very similar ways. They show up as toxic shame. Toxic shame is the idea, is the deep, deep, deep-seated belief that something deep within me is broken. I am not okay. I am not enough. right? So that's toxic shame. Spoiler alert, about 99% of people on this planet actually have toxic shame. So don't worry about it. The only people who don't have toxic shame are the people who've already dealt with it and healed from it. I'm serious. I'm so serious. It also shows up as addictive behaviors. Now, addictive behaviors could be positive as well as negative. Negative addictive behaviors are easy to name. Alcohol, drugs, sex addictions, porn addictions, gambling, shopping addictions, right? Addictions to credit. Those are easy to name because they negatively affect us. But there's other addictions too. Addictions to love, addictions to parenthood, addictions to working, addictions to a religion, things that are considered positive attributes in society that are still addictions, right? Narcissism. Narcissism is a byproduct of trauma. An insatiable need for love, validation, and attention, right? Just constantly needing more and more and more and more. By the way, just as a kind of a segue, social media did not cause narcissism. I know there's this whole thing going around that, oh yeah, selfies caused narcissism. No, that's not possible. Social media is not in itself a traumatic event. Trauma created narcissism. Social media just shines a light on it. It just gives people who have that insatiable need for love, attention, and validation a place to try to get some of that love, attention, and validation. So I poo-poo that. Jealousy is another way that trauma shows up. Magical beliefs. This is something that actually society encourages, but it's an unhealthy thought system. Magical beliefs would be something like, when I make $1 million, then I'll be happy. When I meet the man of my dreams and we get married, then I'll be happy. When I have my own house, then I'll be happy, right? So magical beliefs are reliant on something that's external, that's outside of your control, and the idea that your internal state of being will change when you reach this external circumstance. Not true. Anxiety, depression, those are also manifestations of trauma. Thought distortions like overgeneralization, catastrophization, the other one that I forget what its name is. But catastrophization would always be like, this happened, oh no, it's the end of the world. This happened, therefore I'm gonna get murdered, right? And an overgeneralization would be something like, let's see. Everybody in France is rude, or all Republicans are terrible people, right? That would be an overgeneralization. It's a thought distortion. It's an unhealthy behavior that comes from trauma, or just a general lack of trust and intimacy problems. All of these things are the result of trauma. And here's the thing, is like we all have them, okay? We all have it. 99.9% of people experience trauma that they haven't actually healed from yet. But here is how it relates to money. This is why we have to heal our trauma in order to actually get to the wealth level, the level of financial security and comfort that we want. There's three main reasons, okay? Reason number one is, if we don't deal with our trauma, we literally have a big black hole inside of us that we try to fill with stuff. Simple as that. It's a void. It's a big black hole. It feels like emptiness. And we try to put stuff in there. Hi, Miss Valerie. We try to put stuff like money and people and parenting and stuff and shopping and alcohol and drugs and food. We try to put stuff into our big black hole. But it's never going to work because the hole can only be healed from the inside, right? Number two reason for dealing with your trauma in order to get to the level of financial freedom that you want is because if you don't, it's never going to be enough. It will never be enough. It doesn't matter if you're making $20,000 a month or $100,000 a month or $1 million a month or $1 billion a month. It doesn't matter. If you do not heal your trauma, it will never be enough. And we can point to, and this is a grotesque example, but we can point to the suicides of people who are multimillionaires and billionaires for this example. Because they never dealt with their trauma, no matter how much riches and fame they acquired, it was still never enough, because why? They never found happiness and contentment from within. And then the other reason, the biggest reason, good morning, Miss Priscilla. Hi, Denise. Hi, Joni. The biggest reason to clear and heal your trauma while you are getting in alignment with the wealth and financial freedom that you want is because the trauma creates just a straight up block. It just creates a straight up wall that's almost impossible to penetrate. You just keep hitting that wall and you can't get through it because of all the limiting beliefs that came with the trauma in the first place. So those are the reasons. Here's what you can do about that. Start to pay attention. Start to pay attention to the things and the people and the situations in your day-to-day life and really ask yourself, am I the person that I want to be? If the answer is no, what do you need to do to get there? Okay? Am I the person that I want to be? And if the answer is no, what do you need to get there? All right, my loves, I'm gonna have like a bunch of different trainings this month because I'm like lit up. I'm on fire. We're getting rid of this stuff. And the next one that's coming up is, I believe it's going to be the guilt and shame clearing. And I'm going to pick a date to do that today, a day and a time, and I'll post that in the group. Mwah, 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 mwah. So much love to you. Have an amazing day. Bye.